Good morning, children. Today, I will be telling you about the last part of fatty acid का oxidation and ketogenesis. तो आज हम लोग ketogenesis के बारे में पढ़ेंगे. Ketogenesis is important not only for your practice later on, but also क्योंकि हम लोग का अल्टीमेट एम है एग्जाम पास करना. तो इस चैप्टर में से बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस लॉन्ग एंड शॉर्ट दोनों आते हैं. तो व्हाट इज कीटोजेनेसिस? तो बिफोर वी स्टार्ट, चलिए एक हम एग्जाम्पल देते हैं क्लिनिकल केस का. आप इमरजेंसी ड्यूटी पे हैं और आपके पास एक बेहोश 60-65 साल का एक आदमी आता है. उसके अटेंडेंट बहुत परेशान है, तो आप उसको देखने जाते हैं. द मोमेंट यू गो नियर हिम, you have to ask what was the problem, how did this happen. तो आपको उनके अटेंडेंट जो है आपको बताएंगे ऐसे धीरे धीरे बेहोश हो गए अचानक. तो कौन सी बीमारी थी पहले? तो ये इनको चीनी की बीमारी बहुत दिन से है. दैट मीन्स ही इज अ वेरी ओल्ड डायबिटिक पेशेंट and his blood sugar regulation was very poor. So now you go to examine the patient, and the moment you go near him, you get the sweet smell of acetone. Now that sweet smell of acetone, ये आपको तुरंत स्ट्राइक करेगा कि ये हो सकता है कि डायबिटिक कीटो एसिडोसिस का है. तो सबसे पहले तुरंत व्हाट डू वी डू? We go in for an urgent blood sugar estimation by the finger method using a strip, and then you realize that his blood sugar is beyond 600 milligram per deciliter. He appears to be dehydrated because his tongue is dry. His skin is all flaccid because of the dryness, and he is not responding to your call. Now in this type of patient, this ketogenesis patient, now he has gone into a condition of diabetic ketoacidosis. So you have to be aware, so what is the biochemistry of this disease and how do I correct it? So at the end of this chapter, all of you should be able to answer this question. इसको क्या इलाज करेंगे? इसका कीटोएसिडोसिस कैसे करेक्ट करेंगे? क्यों करेक्ट करेंगे? बहुत सारे सवाल आपको खुद जवाब देना है. So let's start off with ketogenesis. Now we all know that ketogenesis occurs when there is a high rate of fatty acid oxidation in the liver. तो किसी मेटाबॉलिक कंडीशन में जिसमें कि फैटी एसिड का ऑक्सीडेशन इज वेरी हाई, what happens is that the liver starts producing a large amount of acetoacetate and D3 hydroxybutyrate, जिसको कि हम लोग कॉमनली बीटा हाइड्रोक्सीब्यूटरेट कहते हैं. We have to remember that acetoacetate and beta hydroxybutyrates are organic acids. Now this acetoacetate inside the cell, it continuously undergoes spontaneous decarboxylation to yield a molecule of acetone. The carboxylation meaning they lose a molecule of carbon dioxide. Now, these three substances, एक एसिटोएसिटेट, एक बीटा हाइड्रोक्सीब्यूटरेट एंड एसीटोन, इसको हम लोग commonly we call it as the ketone bodies, also known as the acetone bodies. Many times people say ketones, but that is incorrect. And beta hydroxybutyrate, it depends on the ratio of the mitochondrial NAD/NADH ratio, the redox potential. So the NAD/NADH ratio tells us about the energy level inside the cell, and this helps determine whether this conversion will take place or not. Now, the concept of the total ketone bodies, a blood of a well-fed mammal, that means us also, it does not exceed 3 milligram per deciliter. और इस पूरे में the liver appears to be the only organ जो significant quantities of ketone bodies को add करता है blood में. And the extrahepatic tissues utilize acetoacetate and beta hydroxybutyrate as a respiratory substrate, meaning to say that they utilize it to produce energy. Now, the acetone here is a waste product, and being volatile, it enters the lung and is expelled out with the breath. Now, inside the liver, there is active synthesis of ketone bodies, but unfortunately, the liver cannot use the ketone bodies, and therefore, through the blood, it is sent to the extrahepatic tissues where the ketone bodies are, through a process of enzymatic action, it is utilized to produce energy. Now, what happens is that acetoacetate और 3 बीटा हाइड्रोक्सीब्यूटरेट जो है ये ब्लड में ट्रांसपोर्ट होके पेरिफेरल टिश्यूज जाता है, and there they are reconverted to acetyl coenzyme A, which can be oxidized by the TCA or the citric acid cycle. In the peripheral tissues, ketone bodies happen to be a very important source of energy. Why? Because they are soluble in the aqueous solution, and therefore they do not need to be incorporated into lipoproteins or carried by albumin as required by other lipids in the blood. Ketone bodies are produced in the liver during periods when the amount of acetyl coenzyme A present, it exceeds the oxidative capacity of the liver. And ketone bodies are used in proportion to their concentration in the blood by the extrahepatic tissues, such as the skeletal and cardiac muscles, the intestinal mucosa, and the renal cortex, meaning to say that depending on जितना अमाउंट है कीटोन बॉडीज का ब्लड में, उतना ही उसी हिसाब से ये जो हमारा स्केलेटल मसल्स है, कार्डियक मसल्स है, इंटेस्टिनल म्यूकोसा है और रीनल कॉर्टेक्स है, जिसको हम एक्स्ट्रा हेपेटिक टिश्यूज कहते हैं, वो उसको यूटिलाइज करता है. एंड इवन आवर ब्रेन, दे यूज द कीटोन बॉडीज टू हेल्प मीट इट्स एनर्जी नीड्स अगर कीटोन का ब्लड लेवल हाई होता है. सो इस पूरे खेला में हम एक चीज देखते हैं कि these ketone bodies, they spare the glucose which is important during prolonged periods of fasting. Acetoacetyl coenzyme A happens to be the substrate for ketogenesis. Now, most of the enzyme responsible for ketone bodies, so all the enzymes for the formation, as I've already told you, are inside the mitochondria. So the synthesis of ketone body starts when a molecule of acetoacetyl coenzyme A is formed. When two acetyl coenzyme A molecules, which were produced via the fatty acid breakdown due to beta oxidation, they condense to form this acetoacetyl molecule by the reaction of the reversal of thiolase reaction, which we saw in beta oxidation when acetyl coenzyme A reacted to form acetoacetyl CoA. Okay, so this acyl coenzyme A in beta oxidation, it forms acetoacetyl coenzyme A. Now what happens is that another molecule, this acetoacetyl CoA, in the using thiolase, it forms acetyl coenzyme A. As I told you, reversal of the beta oxidation step. Now, acetoacetyl CoA, it condenses with another molecule of acetyl CoA under the influence of the enzyme HMG-CoA synthase. And this forms the compound HMG-CoA or 3-hydroxy-3-methyl glutaryl CoA. Now this we will encounter again when we study the cholesterol biosynthesis. Now, after HMG-CoA is formed, under the influence of the enzyme HMG-CoA lyase, this causes acetyl coenzyme A to split off from HMG-CoA and it leaves a free molecule of acetoacetate. Now, both of these enzymes must be present inside the mitochondria for this ketogenesis to take place. In mammals, as already discussed, this ketone body is formed solely in the liver and the rumen epithelium. Beta-hydroxybutyrate happens to be the most predominant ketone bodies present in the blood and urine in ketosis. Now, these ketone bodies, they serve as a fuel for extrahepatic tissues. So there is an active enzymatic mechanism which produces acetoacetate from acetoacetyl coenzyme A in the liver. Now this acetoacetate, once formed, can only be reactivated for further use inside the cytosol. And inside the cytosol, it is used, we are talking about the liver here, the cytosol of the liver, where it is used in a different but much less active pathway as a precursor of cholesterol synthesis. Now, in extrahepatic tissues, the acetoacetate which was transferred out through the blood into, so this is an extrahepatic tissue, like example acetone, muscle, sorry. This acetoacetate is activated to a compound acetoacetyl coenzyme A by an enzyme known as succinyl CoA acetoacetate-CoA transferase. So what happens here is that the coenzyme A is transferred from succinyl coenzyme A to the acetoacetate to form a molecule of acetoacetyl-CoA. This succinyl CoA forms succinate, and in the TCA cycle it goes through the complete cycle again to form succinyl CoA. Now what happens is that we need to add a molecule of CoA. So what happens is that using the enzyme thiolase, this acetoacetyl coenzyme A, they are broken down into two molecules of acetyl CoA, and this acetyl CoA, it enters the TCA cycle to be oxidized to hydrogen, water and water and ATP. Now, the extrahepatic tissues, which also includes the brain, but excluding the cells which do not have a mitochondria, for example the RBC, they efficiently oxidize acetoacetate and beta hydroxybutyrate in this manner. In contrast, the liver, which is actively producing ketone bodies, is unable to utilize it because it lacks the enzyme thiophorase. So you have to remember this thiophorase is the enzyme which does not allow the liver to utilize ketone bodies. Now, 1 mole of acetoacetate or beta hydroxybutyrate, it yields 19 or 21.5 moles of ATP respectively by this pathway. In moderate ketonemia, the loss of ketone bodies via the urine is only a very small percentage of the total ketone body production and utilization. And because the kidney has a threshold-like effect that varies between species and individual, so the measurement of the blood ketone body level, not the ketonuria, is the preferred method of assessing the severity of ketoacidosis or ketosis. Now this ketogenesis has to be regulated at 3 crucial steps. First is that it does not occur in vivo unless there is an increase in the level of circulating free fatty acids, which they arise from the lipolysis of the triacylglycerols inside the adipose tissue. Free fatty acids happen to be the precursors of ketone bodies inside the liver. Therefore, in the fed and the fasting condition, the liver is able to extract approximately 30% of the free fatty acids passing through it, so that at high concentration the flux passing into the organ is quite substantial. Thus, the factors regulating the mobilization of free fatty acid from adipose tissue are important in controlling ketogenesis. After uptake by the liver, the free fatty acids are either oxidized to carbon dioxide or ketone bodies. So we have oxidation to carbon dioxide or ketone bodies, or they may be esterified to form triacylglycerols and phospholipids. There is a regulation of entry of this fatty acid into the oxidative pathway by the enzyme carnitine palmitoyl transferase 1, and the remainder of the fatty acid taken up is esterified. Now this CPT1 activity is low in the fed state. तो खाने के बाद CPT1 activity is low, and because this activity is low, it leads to the depression of fatty acid oxidation because the fatty acids are not able to enter the mitochondria. And it is high in starvation, which therefore it allows fatty acid oxidation to increase. So just to remind you all, this CPT1 is an important enzyme for the carnitine shuttle for the entry of free fatty acids inside the mitochondria. Now in this picture we will see that malonyl coenzyme A, which was the initial intermediate in fatty acid biosynthesis, this is an important inhibitor of CPT1. In the fed states, the free fatty acids, they enter the liver in a very low concentration, and they are all esterified to form acylglycerols, and they are transported out of the liver as very low density lipoproteins or VLDL. So you will see this in the fed state. What happens is that the acyl coenzyme A is esterified to form the acylglycerols or the triacylglycerols, and this is through the vehicle of VLDL is transported out of the liver. But as the concentration of free fatty acid increases, what happens is that, why does it increase? Because the most common example is starvation. So once starvation sets in, acetyl coenzyme A carboxylase, which is the main enzyme for this synthesis of fatty acids, this is inhibited and directly by the acyl coenzyme A, and therefore the malonyl coenzyme A level decreases. This leads to the release of inhibition of CPT1 and allows more acyl coenzyme A to be beta oxidized. Now all these events ये reinforced होता है starvation में by the decrease in the ratio of insulin to glucagon. Because in starvation the level of insulin goes down and the glucagon level goes up. Thus beta oxidation from free fatty acid is controlled by CPT1 gateway into the mitochondria, and the balance of the free fatty acid uptake not oxidized is esterified to form triacylglycerols. The third factor is that the acetyl coenzyme A formed in beta oxidation is oxidized in the TCA cycle, or it enters the pathway of ketogenesis via acetoacetyl-CoA to form ketone bodies. As the level of free fatty acid is increased, more and more acetyl-CoA produced from their breakdown is converted to ketone bodies, and less is oxidized via the citric acid cycle to carbon dioxide. Now this partition of acetyl coenzyme A between ketogenic pathway and the pathway of oxidation to CO2. That means ये acetyl coenzyme A किधर जाएगा? Ketogenesis में कि TCA cycle में. Now this depends or regulated ऐसा है that so that the total free energy captured in ATP, which results from the oxidation of free fatty acid, remains constant as the concentration in the serum changes. For example, the complete oxidation of 1 mole of palmitoyl involves a net production of 106 moles of ATP via beta oxidation and the citric acid cycle. Whereas only 26 moles of ATP are produced when acetoacetate is the end product and only 16 moles when 3-hydroxybutyrate is the end product. Thus, ketogenesis may be regarded as a mechanism that allows the liver to oxidize more quantities of fatty acid within the constraint of a tightly coupled system of oxidative phosphorylation. During fast, the liver is flooded with fatty acids which has been mobilized from the adipose tissue. Now, the resulting elevated hepatic level of acetyl coenzyme A, which was produced by fatty acid oxidation, this inhibits the enzyme pyruvate dehydrogenase and activates the enzyme pyruvate carboxylase. Now, the oxaloacetate produced by the pyruvate carboxylase is used by the liver for gluconeogenesis rather than for the TCA cycle. Additionally, fatty acid oxidation decreases the NAD-NADH ratio, and the rise in NADH shifts oxaloacetate to malate. The decreased availability of oxaloacetate for condensation with acetyl coenzyme A inside the TCA cycle results in the increased use of acetyl coenzyme A for ketone body synthesis. Now let us talk about the clinical aspects of ketogenesis, because this is what we are studying for. This is what we need to understand so that we are able to treat our patients. Now, impaired oxidation of fatty acid, they give rise to diseases often associated with hypoglycemia. The first is the deficiency of carnitine. Now this occurs particularly in newborn babies, especially those who are born preterm or before their date, owing to the inadequate biosynthesis or renal leakage of carnitine. Symptoms of deficiency will include hypoglycemia, which is a consequence of impaired fatty acid oxidation, and the lipid accumulation with muscular weakness. This carnitine deficiency is treated by giving oral supplementation of carnitine. Second condition is inherited CPT1 deficiency. Now, this deficiency affects only the liver and it results in reduced fatty acid oxidation and ketogenesis with subsequent hypoglycemia. CPT2 deficiency primarily affects the skeletal muscles and when it is very severe, the liver. Now, the sulfonylurea drugs which we use for the treatment of type 2 diabetes mellitus for example glibenclamide or tolbutamide, they reduce the fatty acid oxidation and therefore hyperglycemia by inhibiting the enzyme CPT1. The inherited defect in the enzymes of beta oxidation and ketogenesis also lead to a condition of non-ketotic hypoglycemia, coma, and fatty liver. Then the inherited defects in the enzyme of beta oxidation and ketogenesis, they also lead to a condition of non-ketotic hypoglycemia, coma, and fatty liver. Then there is a condition known as the Jamaican vomiting sickness, and this was caused amongst the Jamaican people by eating the unripe fruit of the ackee tree, and this fruit used to contain the toxin hypoglycin. This inactivates the medium and the short chain acyl coenzyme A dehydrogenase, thus inhibiting beta oxidation and causing hypoglycemia. Dicarboxylic aciduria is a condition characterized by the excretion of C6 to C10, that is carbon 6 to 10 carbon omega dicarboxylic acid, and also by non-ketotic hypoglycemia. And this dicarboxylic aciduria is caused by a lack of the mitochondrial medium chain acyl coenzyme A dehydrogenases. Then we have a condition known as Refsum's disease. Now, Refsum's disease is a rare neurological disorder caused by a metabolic defect that results in the accumulation of phytanic acid. This is found in dairy products and the ruminant fat and meats. Phytanic acid is thought to have pathologic effect on membrane function, protein prenylation, and gene expression. So, the milk, cheese, and the paneer that we use, or the ruminants, that is the goats, the sheep, and the cow, their fat and meat, they contain phytanic acid. And if there is a, due to metabolic defect, if there is an increase in the amount of phytanic acid, what it does that it has an effect on the membrane function. Protein prenylation is a step where the cells, they change the protein to act as a, what you call a sensor on the cell wall and also in gene expression. Then there is a condition known as Zellweger's syndrome or the cerebrohepatorenal syndrome, and this is seen in individuals with a very rare inherited absence of peroxisomes in all the tissue. So what happens is that there is an accumulation of 26 carbon to 38 carbon polyenoic acids inside the brain tissue, and also they exhibit a generalized loss of peroxisomal function. Now this disease causes severe neurological symptoms, and most of the patients, they die in the first year of life. Then we come to ketoacidosis. The ketoacidosis, as we have already just discussed, results from prolonged ketosis. So higher than normal quantities of ketone bodies which are present in the blood or urine, they constitute the condition known as ketonemia or hyperketonemia or ketonuria. Sorry. The overall condition is known as ketosis. Now, the basic form of ketosis usually is seen in condition of starvation, and it involves the depletion of all available carbohydrate, and it is coupled with the mobilization of free fatty acids from the adipose tissues. This general pattern of metabolism is exaggerated to produce the pathologic states found in diabetes mellitus. Now, the non-pathologic form of ketosis are found under condition of high fat feeding and after severe exercise in the post-absorptive state. Acetoacetic and 3-hydroxybutyric acids are both moderately strong acids and usually are buffered when they are present in the blood or other tissues. So the buffering system of the body comes into play. But if the amount of acetoacetic and beta-hydroxybutyric acid excretion goes on increasing or continuing, so what happens is that slowly and slowly and slowly the alkali reserve is depleted, and this eventually leads to a condition of ketoacidosis. Now, ketoacidosis may be fatal in conditions of uncontrolled diabetes mellitus, and this condition, as I have already said earlier, is known as diabetic ketoacidosis. Now, a very frequent symptom of diabetic ketoacidosis is the fruity odor on the breath, which results from the increased production of acetone. So in this figure, I am showing you the mechanism of diabetic ketoacidosis, which is present in uncontrolled type 1 diabetes, where there is a complete deficiency of the hormone insulin. So what happens is that when the insulin level is decreased, and because there is relative lack of glucose, so epinephrine and glucagon level are increased, because insulin and glucagon are antagonistic hormones. Now this leads to increased lipolysis. This increased lipolysis leads to increase in the free fatty acids inside the plasma. This eventually leads to increased hepatic output of ketone bodies and eventually to ketoacidosis. So with this, we come to the end of the fatty acid oxidation and ketogenesis. My next class, we will talk about lipids later on. Thank you. Please be safe, protect yourself, but remember, study hard. You never know when the exams will take place.